The bases of the tropical terrarium, simple and fast. These are the two little grasshoppers that will be called YouTube. They were simply born during this video. In short, you need to make one tropical terrarium, so very hot and very humid, to receive your little protege. It's a good thing I'm in the middle of it. After one quick search on YouTube, it is very complicated, and the terrariums that we show you, it takes you like 3 days to make them. Look, we'll make one in less than 10 minutes. I give you here the basics to follow for one successful tropical terrarium. First, we must think about water retention. Clay balls or vermiculite. According to the size of your terrarium, to bring water to the bottom of the earth. You will put a lot of water. It will be one very wet terrarium. Think that water cannot be evacuated in terrarium. It will necessarily be necessary to destroy it somewhere. One tropical terrarium must be warm and humid. Why not use stored water? To make it evaporate, you will create heat and in addition to oxygen. I put one heating mat directly. On clay balls. I try to make one video. Either you calm down or... Yeah, you don't care what I say as usual. Tell him you stop. Then if it is your first animal, in tropical type terrarium, keep it simple. Forget the decoration, forget the complications. You put, for example, like me here, false grass. It is easy to clean to recovered. You can put it back, it's reusable. Keep it simple. You end up with clay balls. One heating mat. The grass starts and you simply have one bottom that heats up and creates moisture. You already have one very good base. And as you start, do not hesitate to help you with one little technology, one flow and temperature controller. You have one bit everywhere on the internet. This is really the first prize. It's made in China. It's not very precise, but it can already help you a lot. If you are a beginner and your animal is not very fragile, it will do perfectly. One little more expensive here, but also much safer and more precise. It remains made in China, but this is much more precise, much more reliable, and you can already start to control your terrarium in temperature and humidity with greater precision and safety. If your animal, for example, does not tolerate large temperature differences too much, and learn, if you go to animals, much more sensitive and fragile. You have inkbird, for example. This is much more accurate. What do we put parrots in the aviaries? I use them for animals of protected species because they are really safe and reliable, but the price is much higher. You saw one spider's web? Always leaves one spider's web in one corner. It eats the mosquitoes. It is really very practical. I put here the probe of an intermediate model. You see, this is the Chinese model, which is quite reliable already, and it will be very good for this species. A lot of humidity, a lot of heat equals a lot of problems. Mold invasion mites. I'll explain right away the bases to be quiet. With this kind of problem, ventilation is really the key. Your terrarium must be wet, but don't confine it. Let it maximum ventilation. If your water evaporates from the ground, the bird will always be present, and then she will leave the terrarium. It creates one air movement, and it avoids a lot of mite problems of mushrooms and other bacteria that could develop, like in one box of Petri. The principle of a Petri box is to accumulate the maximum amount of expertise to develop as quickly as possible in the laboratory, bacteria and fungi. We here are looking for the opposite. When you create your first terrarium for your animal, tropical go for the simplest. The decoration you will see after first masters these breeding conditions. It will make your life much easier, and then, if you want, you will go in cave to please you and beautify your terrarium. For most giant insects, for example, you will have the same temperature everywhere in your tropical terrarium. But if you pass over reptiles, most of the time, you need one hot spot and one fresh spot. The heating mat can be found here. The temperature probe is here. Let's imagine that this zone is 28 and that it needs one fresh point at the other end of the terrarium because the reptiles regulate their body temperature. If they need to warm up, they will simply go to the hot spot, then cool to a cool point and so on. They will move. Too good that your fresh point corresponds to the temperature whose animal needs to cool down properly. You will have understood it. Your measuring device, like your hygrostat, will help you regulate the temperature, and don't leave your carpet, your heating cable or bulb. Overheat your reptile's environment, or your insects during your absence. You can obviously very easily, too, automate the hygrometry of your terrarium. More humidity. 3 possible solutions. Manual spraying, 1 to 2 times a day will amply for most species of phasmas. You can automate it very simply, with one sprayer, automatic like this. specially designed for plants or terrariums. This small automated sprayer, and simply connected to one USB plug, and on one water reserve, the one of your choice. Then simply make the appropriate setting. And here we go for the whole day. The very effective ultrasound mister. The so-called, not only fresh moisture in your terrarium, which brings a lot of hope, without increasing the heat, but also pushed by air. It allows to expel the stale air in your terrarium, to replace it with fresh air from outside, all this by humidifying and increasing the humidity in the air. It is the ideal device, heating lamp lighting for reptiles. UV or infrared, full spectrum, neon or LED, according to the breeding record of your new companion, and especially one-timer. Or you will have to turn off every day. Every morning and every evening, the lighting, the luminous sun of your new creature. The temperature, appearance, and lighting is especially in the greatest simplicity. These are the basics. Perfect to start in terrariophilia. In one tropical environment, hot and humid, one time these conditions are respected and met. It's time for you to start breeding. Your favorite creature. Like me here, my giant Papuasi grasshopper,